Hi Pam, how are you?
Hi, Danielle. Good.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. So, you sound a little congested.
Yes.
Are you getting over a cold?
No, it's called playing with a cat when you're allergic to them.
Okay.
That's why he is a barn cat, but still, you know, he's just so dang cute.
Oh well. It's hard to stay away from those cute things. I know.
Yes.
I'm the same way, but at least I'm not allergic to them. Yeah. So, I looked on your website. I couldn't really tell. How long have you guys been in business?
Mike actually started the company in 2002.
2002.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So what's it like to do the family business thing? Y'all get along? Y'all fight all the time?
Actually, we get along really well. I've only been here since January.
Mhm.
Up until that point, he's done the business on his own. But things have really started to grow, and with some of the plans that he has for the next couple of years, he just realized that he could no longer do the office and all that, and the marketing and everything, and still give his personal touch that he wants to the business side of it.
Okay, great.
So, and I've been in marketing for a really long time, so it just made a lot of sense.
Awesome. Where were you before this?
I was with a consulting firm. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Doing marketing consulting?
marketing consulting. Yeah.
Okay. So here in the Atlanta market or somewhere else?
It was in Chattanooga.
Chattanooga.
Mhm.
Okay. So when you say you got here in January, you mean you moved here
Yeah.
just for that? Okay. Well, that is exciting.
Well, I was actually already halfway here because my husband already worked in Atlanta. I worked in Chattanooga, so we lived kind of halfway between.
Mm-hmm.
So we just ended up moving on down to Atlanta.
Okay. Cool.
Well, to Marietta.
Well, when we set up this meeting, I mentioned some research that I'd done on the new homeowners and money that they're spending in the
Mhm.
market, and I know that you were really interested in seeing some of that, and I am going to share that with you a
Okay.
little bit later. But I want to make sure, really, I think we set 30 minutes for this conversation. Do you still have that 30 minutes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right. And I probably, or I may not, work a little bit differently than some of the other media reps that you work with in terms of I really want to partner with you in your business to
Mhm.
make sure that you get results. I'm not really about selling media. I'm about making sure that you get results. And so on that front, this meeting is really going to be more about me asking you more in-depth questions about your business and about some of the needs you have and challenges that you're facing, more
Okay.
so than me telling you doing a product dump about my business.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. So some of the research that I didn't mention was talked about the credit is loosening these days,
Mhm.
home equity's up, and people are really starting to do more home improvement projects.
Mhm.
How has number one, the credit market in general affected the business as we've gone through the downturn and then come back up? I mean, how big of a role does that play?
It actually it really has started to come back for us in the last couple of years. That's why Mike feels really strong that now's the time to be able to grow the business the way that he wants to grow it.
Mm-hmm.
He actually got into this in 2002 because of the start downturn in the economy. He's an engineer by trade, and he also worked for a big consulting firm. And just the big projects that he was working on when the budgets started going,
Mm-hmm.
they just weren't any jobs for him to go to. He did a lot overseas and some other stuff. So he just decided he wanted to do something different. So, he was well aware of what market can do,
Mm-hmm.
and he planned accordingly. Stayed pretty small during the lean times and focused on doing one or two key quality jobs versus the mass jobs, and that's
Yeah.
kind of how he built his reputation. So, but he's really started to see things pick up in the last couple of years, and like I said, that's why he thinks he's at a point now that he's going to be able to do what it is that he wants to do with the business over the next couple of years.
Okay. So you've mentioned a couple of times that he wants to grow the business, and you've referred to do what he wants to do. So what is that exactly? Like, what percentage of growth are y'all targeting?
Well, we actually have the business broken down into a couple of different segments. So, when you're looking at where he wants to really grow the business, is he wants to do the home improvement side of the business. That's a big piece that he wants to grow this year, as well as the commercial piece.
Okay, so by home improvement, because when I was looking on your website,
Mhm.
I mean, there was painting, floor resurfacing and then new floor installation. Is that
Right.
But home improvement to me sounds like a much bigger. It sounds like it's anything from cabinets to remodels. So
He actually does a lot with, and it's not very prominent on the website, and that's something that we are going to be working on. But he does a lot with home restorations, particularly more historic homes. He's been real successful with that in the Marietta area, and he's done a few in Candler Park. But so when he's talking the home improvement side, he's really talking more about the restoration piece of it.
okay, so restoration. So he's looking for older homes. Is that-
The ones that people want to go in and buy and fix up, and whether they're flipping them or they're going to, they're going to keep them and live in them. But, you see all those all the time on the AJC about, that somebody bought this little bungalow in Buckhead and what they've done to it. And so that's the kind of thing that he does.
So does he target homes by a specific age?
He does look at homes by a specific age. Usually, he's been really focusing on, particularly on the painting side of it, but the home's got to be at least 10 years old. When you start to add in more of the restoration piece of it, then you're talking 10 to 20 to 25 plus years.
Okay. All right. So you said that he wants to grow the home improvement. So what percentage of your business does the home improvement make up now?
Home improvement right now is really only about 15% of the business, but we're looking to grow it 35% this year. So when I originally tell people 35%, they kind of gasp, thinking, "Why are you going to try to grow something that much?" But when it's such a small percentage, it's easier to grow by a big percentage when you're starting with a small percentage.
Right. So you're trying to grow it from 15 to 35, or
No, we're trying to grow
an additional 35. Okay, gotcha. All right. So what percentage of the business goes, because you mentioned painting, what percentage is painting?
Painting is probably about 60%,
Okay.
and then the rest would be the commercial.
Okay. So the flooring stuff on the website doesn't really come into play. It's just there
I lump
if
that
it's a
in with the home
restoration?
improvement.
Okay,
Home
gotcha.
improvement restoration, yeah.
All right. So, and the commercial, we're talking about churches, synagogues. Is that the main thing you saw?
Small apartment complexes.
Okay.
We've done some small shopping centers. Like just the one small strip centers, not really big. He doesn't want to get to the point. And he's never going to do a post apartments complex or a Simon Mall thing.
Okay.
But if he's got somebody that's gone in and bought a small strip mall and they want to update the outside of the small strip mall, then he would do that. So.
Okay, gotcha. So, and do those jobs, because now we're talking about, sounds like, is that more of a painting, or that he's going to come
That's
in?
much more painting.
Okay.
Yeah. The commercial is much more painting.
Okay. So, which is the most profitable?
The most profitable right now is probably, it is the painting, but it's not just all painting. So it's actually the painting jobs that are $10,000 plus. So when you're talking a $10,000 residential painting job, you're talking definitely more than one room. Sometimes it's inside, outside. But it's, so that's where, if we're going to grow the painting part of the business, that's the piece of the business that we want to grow in the painting part, as those quality jobs.
Okay. And I would also imagine that, because in my experience, a regular paint job could be on a normal average suburban house could range anywhere from $2,000 to $6,000. So sounds like, based on that you're really looking at the bigger houses.
Are you just looking at inside and exterior?
I'm talking about exterior only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, when we were talking the 10,000, we're doing like exterior and interior kind of things. So yeah, and some of the bigger homes too.
Yeah.
So, and it depends on. You can take one of those same houses and some other person could tell you that it would be a $6,000 job, and they'll come in and they'll do it at $6,000, and you're gonna be looking for somebody to come back and paint again in another couple of years because they didn't do the proper prep work to the house before they painted it.
Gotcha.
So, he goes in and does all of that. He does, the pressure washing that's needed, any patch repair work that's needed, and you know that all up front beforehand. So a lot of times when you do look at our quotes might be more expensive than, say, a Rodriguez painting or somebody like that. But then when you start breaking it down and you look at everything that you get in our painting jobs and how we guarantee our painting jobs, and you read our references about how long they last, then when you break it down, we're not more expensive.
Gotcha.
We're better, or actually cheaper.
So would you say that that's your differentiating factor, all the prep work? Or maybe I should ask it different. I'll ask it as a question. What is your what differentiates you from these other guys? I think I've heard a little bit of it.
Yeah, it's definitely some of the prep work. It's what Mike brings to the table from his consulting background is, really listening to the customer, and it's very important to him that at some point you have contact directly with him at some point on your job. Whether, if it's a smaller job and one of his managers handles it, then Mike's probably going to be the one that's going to follow up with you to make sure that everything was done the way that it was supposed to be done.
So you mean more so than I just see Mike when he comes out to give the estimate?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. He's very involved with it. He wants to hear from customers, and I think it's that personal touch that really does differentiate us from a lot of others. When you deal with someone from Mike's Painting and Home Improvement, you're dealing with someone who is full-time employed by this company, not a subcontractor.
And what do you guys do to promote that's your differentiating factor?
We do a little bit of it on, there's a little bit of it on the website. If you dig deep, probably need to do a little bit better job of pulling some of that stuff out. Also, it's very prominent in the ads that we run with the MDJ.
Okay.
So.
All right. Where else do you, you just mentioned you run the Marietta Daily Journal, where else do you advertise?
Of course, we do trade shows and events. I have one billboard campaign that's running right now.
And where are those?
They actually rotate within Marietta and more over in the Decatur area and a few in Roswell. So it's like in those three areas, and it's on kind of a rotating schedule. So.
And why did you choose those areas?
It's some areas that we've gotten some really good business from in
Okay.
the past. You see some of the types of things that we're trying to do in those general areas.
Okay. So do you have any research on the homes in those areas, or would that be something that would be beneficial to you if you had that?
I've got some, but I'm always willing to look at some additional research.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
if that's something that you might be able to share. I also do, you had asked me about what else we do. I also do search engine marketing. And once a quarter we'll do a Val Pack.
So, and which of those things do you feel gives you the best leads?
The trade shows, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
The trade shows and the home shows give us the best leads. Marietta Daily does pretty good for us as well. It's not as great as it used to be, which, I think that it's just a piece of the entire industry, and, newspapers as a whole are just completely dying, and I don't see people reading them as much anymore. So that could be part of the reason why I'm not getting as good a response.
Well, I hear that a lot being in this industry, and our competitors have done a great job of promoting that, newspaper is dead. You might be a little shocked to know that we actually reach 42% of all adults in the Atlanta market every week through our print and online products.
That is pretty impressive, but I don't need to reach 42%. I don't need to reach all across Atlanta because I can't service all across Atlanta. I need to be in kind of really targeted areas. That's one of the reasons why for newspaper that I've stayed with, I have stayed with the MDJ.
Yeah. So, and that's another one of the things that we have the capability of doing is targeting very specific areas. We can target by geography. But, I mean, I want to dive more into that because I'm guessing that outside of Roswell, Marietta, and Decatur, there's other pockets where those types of homes are that
Yeah,
that you
I would love to
at.
have a billboard in Buckhead, but I can't afford one down there, and there's very few of them in there. Anyway,
Yeah.
because we do a good bit of business in the Buckhead Midtown area.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking prime real estate for the few billboards that are down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, we do get a lot of business through there. Done some in Canlo Park, some in Smyrna.
Mm-hmm.
So really, if you were to, excluding a few pockets if you were to look at the point where 75, 85 merge in downtown Atlanta, and then we're to do the V up, except extend it, a little bit down to where, just a little bit south, not the true 75, but maybe down to 20 on this side, that V is where we get a lot of our business from.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, why I'm talking about targeting is we have the ability to do direct mail campaigns. So we could.
That's really expensive, isn't it?
It can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
It's all about the targeting. So obviously, a more targeted piece is going to be more expensive per piece than a saturation mailing, but it's also going to get you better results. So the ROI tends to be a whole lot better.
Okay.
So it just depends on what your goals are. So the houses. So we're talking about what you said for restoration, 10 to 20 years old. You're looking at. I mean, what's an ideal job?
An ideal.
Like, in terms of, value.
I mean, my ideal job would be to not have one, would be to win the lottery.
I mean, an ideal job here.
Oh, one of our ideal jobs.
What an ideal job, like in terms of value of the job, obviously.
We can get a really sweet spot between, and I'm going to exclude, for this particular thing, I'm going to exclude commercial.
Okay.
Okay. But we can really start to hit our sweet spot between 50 and 100,000.
Okay. So in order to do that, I'm guessing really you need, home values of over $400,000.
Well, it depends on what you're looking at to do. So, if you're looking at painting, just painting, like I said before, a $10,000 job with painting we consider that to be a really good job for us, just painting. When we get into the restoration, which is where we really want to grow the business significantly, is that's the 50 to 100. Once we get over 100,000, then you're talking some major work that's going to be done, and we may end up having to have a conversation with the homeowner about bringing in some subcontractors, which we hate to do. And anytime you bring in a subcontractor, your margin goes down.
Right.
So.
Okay. So you mentioned that you want to grow the restoration part by 35%. What else are you guys looking to do?
We are. So we're looking, like I said, we're looking to grow that sweet spot in the painting, the 10,000 plus range. We want to grow that. And then we're also looking to grow commercial.
Okay. And what percentages are you looking to grow those?
Okay. So, well, with the painting, we don't really have a percentage because when you get to there's more that you have to do. So we're actually looking to increase that number by 5 per quarter. And we currently average about 13 per quarter, so we'd like to get to about 18 per quarter.
$18 per quarter.
And with the commercial, we're looking at like a 15% growth over last year.
And so is that one going to be on a revenue basis or a number of jobs?
Revenue basis.
Okay. So in terms of hot buttons, which one of these, because you've given me really 3 different goals: to grow the home improvement by 35%, grow the 10,000K plus paint jobs by 5 homes per quarter, correct? And then to grow your commercial business by 15%. Which of those is most important to you?
Well, they're all really important. Probably would have to say, if I was really put on the spot and had to say which one was more important, would have to be home improvement side of the business.
Okay. So that. All right. So if we were to put together, a campaign that would help you target those types of homes, and it would be, research based, I could come to you and say, here are some homes that would be good targets based on what you've told me in terms of the age of home, the value of the home, and the type of work that people might be wanting to have done there. And they would, well, let me back up because I have another question. So are there areas that you would not go into? You've told me where most of your jobs are and where you'd like to get more business, being Buckhead. But if there was something outside of that, would you go there? Or should we make it targeted to that V? But
that's going to be the V is really where we can hit our sweet spot because we don't have as much transportation costs and we don't get in as much overhead. We have done a couple of jobs on the south side of Atlanta, but they were bigger commercial jobs. So, if it's going to be outside of that V, then it has to be a pretty significant job to make sure that the ROI for us is going to be there.
Gotcha. Well, so then going east of 85, that's or east of 400, I should say.
East of 400, yeah, you could do that because it's like up 85. Because we've actually done some in downtown Duluth. Yeah, we're okay with that.
Okay. So east of 400, okay. So what type of budget would you be willing to allocate to some programs that could help you grow these pieces of your business?
Well, we currently spending about $5,000 a month with the Marietta Daily. So, I could probably pull that budget. Yeah, I could probably pull the Marietta Daily budget, which is $5,000 a month. So.
And that's okay. So if we were able to, because that doesn't really, unfortunately, I mean, it's not that there's not a lot to work with, but if you're talking about bringing in an additional $300,000 or $400,000 a year to your business, this probably is going to cost you more than $5,000 a month.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, that billboard campaign is actually scheduled to end in June, and that's roughly $3,000 a month. So, if the idea was good and it was right, then I could probably pull that budget as well, which is an additional $18,000. If you multiply 3 times 6, it lasts 6 months of the year. But it would have to be a really good campaign for me to look at. Okay.
So what in your mind would constitute a good campaign?
Well, it's going to have to be something that's going to prove to me that's going to hit the markets that I want it to hit. I don't necessarily need to be. I say that we're looking at this for the last half of the year, but we all know honestly that month of December we don't do a whole lot.
Right.
So I do very little advertising after Thanksgiving, to be honest, because we just don't get a lot of business. People have too many people in their house for us to be able to do anything for them. So you could really look at it more for 5 months or 4.5 months really.
So that's $8,000 a month times 4.5 months. Is that
yes?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I had to stop and think a minute. That was including the billboards.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you're doing. You said search engine marketing. Is that keywords in your world? Okay. And who are you doing that through?
I use Google, Bing, and Those are the two that I really focus on, is Google and Bing.
Okay, so you manage.
Yahoo's like kind of Yahoo, I don't get anything out of it, so.
You manage that yourself?
Yes.
Are you finding, like a lot of the other businesses I deal with are seeing more and more people come to their websites through mobile? Is that a factor in your business? Are you noticing any of that?
Not really. I haven't noticed it. Now that doesn't mean that it's not happening, but I haven't really noticed it. I don't have a designated mobile site, so
Okay.
That obviously could be one of the things that's hurting me. But yeah, I don't see a lot of it. Paintings, needing painting for your house and all is not something that you're driving down the road and think, oh, I forgot to call a painter today.
Yeah, no, correct. I was just curious if you've noticed that in your business, but
Not
because
really.
people sitting on their tablets at home, while they're on the couch and doing research while they're watching TV or whatever else, that shows up as mobile, and we know more and more people are doing that. It's kind of more of a lean back mode. That's where they're doing some of their research and maybe going to your website and your competitor's website to check stuff out.
I'll have to pay a little bit more attention to that because I really haven't
Okay.
been paying that much attention to it.
Yeah. So in our world, we lump that all in as mobile, because
Okay.
mobile and tablets, anything that's not necessarily a wired site, but
Okay.
yeah. So. Okay, so then what have you done to grow the commercial side of your business?
We actually, most of the commercial business is grown through the trade shows.
As well?
Yeah.
So just different types
We
of
do
trade shows?
we do different trade shows for commercial versus for what we would do. There's a home show, but then there's also like a franchisee show. So
Gotcha.
we would be at a franchisee show that right beside you. If you're going to buy this Zaxby's, then let us help you refresh it. So, but most of our commercial comes through that. I've been toying a little bit with maybe trying to do some direct mail with some corporates, but I'm just really concerned about, when I did it in my previous life, it was so expensive, and trying to find the lists and all, it was just a pain in the took us. So.
Yeah. So is that a different budget, the commercial side of your business?
It's not really a different budget. It's all part of the same budget. What I actually was thinking about, because we do Valpak once a quarter, but I'm not a huge fan of it, so I was kind of thinking of maybe swinging some of that money.
Gotcha. So, okay, but Valpak you've been doing for the residential stuff,
Yeah.
but you were going to just apply them. Okay.
Perhaps, I don't know yet. I haven't made my decision.
Gotcha. So what type of money are you talking about there?
And see, that's the other thing. I'm not really sure that it's going to matter, because we only do Valpak once a quarter, and it's about $7,000 when we do it. So.
Okay. So, as I mentioned, we do direct mail, and we handle the list, we can handle the design, we can handle all of that. And I know that we could target some of those shopping centers for you. And I would think $7,000, especially on a quarterly basis, we could even break that up. I mean, would you, if I had some ideas and could come back to you with a component for that, would you be willing to look at that?
Sure, I'm willing to look at anything.
Okay. All right. Because I think there's something
Don't
that
know
we
that
could
I'll
do.
buy, but I'm willing to look.
Okay. Gotcha.
But I do want to say if it's going to be something, I'm going to have to move pretty quick on it, because, as a matter of fact, my Valpak rep called me yesterday about getting ready for our second quarter drop, third quarter drop. That's all.
Just out of curiosity, how does that tend to work for you? I mean, do you do a lot of discounting in your business? It doesn't
See, that's
sound
why
like
that's why I'm not a big fan of it, because to do Valpak, we really have to do a discount. It's usually like, do paint 2 rooms, get 1 room free or something like that. And that's not the type of business that we really want to push. That's not who we are.
Right, it doesn't sound like, I mean, because those
Yeah.
are the Rodriguez paintings and
Yeah.
the Jose's paintings and things like that. They're trying to get the mass market jobs, and it sounds
Yeah.
like the type of jobs you want are
That's
something
not.
completely different from that.
Yeah,
And-
so I'm not a huge fan of it, but
Gotcha. So, because some of the ideas that I'm thinking about, are either some targeted inserts, in
what's that? Can you tell me a little bit about what that is?
do you ever, I'm sure you get the Marietta Daily Journal, or you've seen it, so you know that
Well, I get the AGC too.
Excellent. So you've seen the inserts that come in, like the circulars.
Oh, okay.
Right. So we
Okay.
have the ability to target.
Preprints.
Well, a lot of people call them preprints,
That's
but we
what
can
they-
actually,
that's what
we
we
can
call them
print
from my
them,
old life.
design. Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and target those to certain neighborhoods for you.
Gotcha.
Okay. Hi, Pam. How
Hi,
are you
Mia.
today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you. I'm glad it's been sunny these days.
Yes. Although the rain over the weekend did help, so
Helped.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's, I mean, I guess it's actually not really nice of me to say that the rain helped because, we did have some people who had some flooded homes and.
Yeah. But I guess
then that means they have to have
damage.
us to help.
Oh,
fix
got
the
it.
damage.
Now I'm following you. Okay.
So, yes.
All right.
They didn't help with any jobs we had this weekend, but in the long run. we'll get
Yeah.
more.
Gotcha.
So,
Well, so I've come back today with a proposal based on all the stuff that we had talked about
Okay.
last week.
okay.
So I guess this is going to be your copy, and
Okay.
yours is bigger than my copy. So, but wanted to.
You can keep it closer over that way.
Okay.
Make it easier for you.
All right.
I'll grab it if I need it.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me before we?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm just interested to see what you've got for me.
Okay. Well, I wanted to start by just going over the campaign objectives that we discussed last week to make sure that I am on the right track. So I think that you gave me really three big things that you were trying to do. One was to grow the home improvement side of your business, that revenue, by 35%. The second one was to grow the number of $10,000 plus jobs from, by 5 per quarter, from 13 to 18. And then you wanted to grow the commercial side of your business by 15%.
Correct.
Okay. Did I forget any?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
That's our three key things that we're after right now.
Okay. So I came up, my strategy for doing this, I kind of divided residential as one thing and commercial as another.
Okay, we kind of do the same.
Okay. So for residential, the overall campaign strategy really is to use a combination of print and digital and direct mail to give you a broad market coverage in those areas that you want to reach, but still allow you to really get targeted to the types of home values that you're looking for. Because I know you're looking for home improvement projects in the $50,000 to $100,000 range.
Right.
So, and then for the commercial side, we really just wanted to utilize some direct mail campaigns to target the owners of strip shopping centers, the landlords of those strip shopping centers, some commercial real estate brokers. And then we also thought about each month pulling in some of the, like if somebody's filed for a retail business, like new business permit, mailing something to them as well.
Oh, well, that's actually a pretty good idea. I'm surprised I haven't thought of that. Glad I got you.
Okay. Well, good. Great. Because that's our goal. If I'm off target or you don't think some of the strategy is going to work, then I want to be able to have that kind of conversation with you because we can always, retool and regroup. But so far,
Okay. So yeah. I'm interested to see what you're talking about with the print and the digital. How you're going to get me in my area. So.
okay. And I will go into that because I know last time we didn't really talk a lot about our products and the specifics of each of them. So how I'm going to go through this today, I'm just going to lay out all the different components, and then there's an appendix here, and we can dive deeper into what that means. But feel free to stop me along the way too if you're saying I don't know what behavioral targeting is, or
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
It does. Thanks.
So the different elements of the campaign. For the digital, I thought that would be the most consistent part of the campaign. Essentially, the plan is to really have just 300,000 monthly impressions on ajc.com, which is the city's #1 local website. And we're going to behaviorally target those to people who are in the market for home improvement.
Okay. So how do you determine that? How does
Yeah. We determine that based on what people are searching for, what ads they're clicking on, and what articles they are reading. when they are on AJC or on Yahoo. So if they are looking at those types of things, they get put into what's called a bucket. Yahoo really revolutionized, and they came up with the term behavioral target. They were the pioneer of it, and they've perfected it along the way. So we use their ad serving platform.
Okay.
And they've got an algorithm that determines, like, for all kinds of different behaviors and things that you might be shopping for, they can tell when somebody's in the market for a particular product or service.
Okay.
So if they're reading articles about home improvement, if they're clicking on other home improvement ads, or they're doing searches for painting or painters or something like that, then they put themselves in the bucket for home improvement. Does that make sense?
So, like if I've been to Home Depot and I've been looking at paint samples or something like that, that's
if you're searching for it.
Searching for it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if I was searching for painters, or if I was that kind of thing, that puts okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it has more to do with what I search versus the sites that I go to?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. All right.
And then the different articles that you read on AJC or on Yahoo, if you're starting to read a bunch of articles about home improvement or about contractors or about painting or remodeling, those types of things also help put you in the behavior bucket, for lack of a better term.
Okay. All right.
We're also going to geo-target those ads to Cobb County, North Fulton County, and then that central Atlanta area where you said you wanted to get the majority of your jobs. And the reason for doing the behavioral targeting and the geo-targeting, it's a more efficient spend of your advertising dollars.
So is the behavioral in that geo area, or are those two different arms of the same campaign?
They are. So we've layered it. You can do two totally different things. You can search for people who are in the market for home improvement anywhere in Atlanta. Or you could search for it just in those zones. And so what we've done is layer the two. So because you said you don't really want to go way over to Conyers or way out to Douglasville or too far on the south side. So we're trying to keep it right in your zone. Okay,
so if I understand you correctly, you're saying that first we look at people who have this behavior of home improvement. Okay, is there a way to get that tighter on more of our home improvement pieces? Because home improvement can be gutters and roofing, and we don't do those services. So is there a way to focus it like on painting and remodeling and some of the things like that versus?
Well, that's how we would use the creative is going to come into play.
Okay.
Because chances are, if right now they're looking at some of those other things like gutters, it doesn't mean that they're not going to be. To answer your question, we can, but we don't really want to. So.
Okay. Why?
Because you're really going to narrow the field. Because chances are, if somebody is looking for gutters, the next thing they might have new gutters put on, and then they're either going to do new windows or they're going to get their house painted. They're starting along the way, so we don't want to just exclude anything else. But your ad would be served to them, but the creative of your ad is not going to say we do gutters. It's not going to say, it's going to talk about what you do.
Okay.
So, and it's a lot more effective than just reaching anybody who happens to live in that area, because they might not be in the market for any of it. But what we know is that when people start down the road to home improvement projects, they do one project and then they might do another project, because if they're not painting their house today but they're doing something else, it doesn't mean that they're not going to be in the market for that too. And your exposure to them while they're thinking about home improvements is a valuable thing.
Okay.
So, in addition to that, what we're going to do is retargeting, which, are you familiar with that?
That's like stalking, right?
You could call it that, but we make sure that it doesn't come across like that. So it sounds like that you've gone maybe to Zappos and bought a pair of shoes, and then the next thing you knew, you were being targeted by Zappos ads.
They stalked me around the internet.
Yes, okay. Well, it's that same concept, but we can set up frequency caps so that you don't necessarily feel like you're being stalked. But what we know is that most people do not convert the first time they come to your website. And especially when the higher dollar value of the project, whether you're buying a car or a house or home improvement project, those people, that's a longer sales cycle. They do a lot more research, and they're going to visit your website and a couple of other websites while they're trying to make decisions about who they're going to call or who they're going to go with.
Yeah, but they have to come to our website first, right?
So if they've come to your website, then we want them to come back to your website. We want them to be, reminded of you. So within a 30-day window, we may set a frequency cap of 15. And if they never come back to your website in that, within that 30-day window, once they go past 30 days and they don't ever come back, then they fall out and they're not continuing to be stocked.
Okay.
Because that's either going to mean that they've gone somewhere, they bought a service from somebody else. Maybe they bought the service from you, or they're just not in the market. They came to your website by mistake or something like that. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But it really helps increase conversions when you're, doing retargeting.
Okay. So for this, do you have an idea? Because when I look at 300,000 impressions, I kind of get a two-sided feeling here.
Okay.
So initial, whenever you look at anything 300,000, you think, oh, that's a big number. But then, when I remember you talking some about readers or how many people come to your website and all, it doesn't seem like that's a very big number compared to your total numbers. So I'm not sure, how much does that represent? I mean, is 300,000, is that a big number or is that a little number? That's what I'm having a little trouble grasping, I guess.
Okay, so when we decide that we're going to do behavioral targeting, we shrink the universe. Because you're right, like we serve 1 million pages of content a day. So, and that's a huge number of impressions. So, but not all people who come to our website on any given day, there's around 250,000 of them, are in the market for home improvement products. So we're not interested in anybody who's not looking at home improvement stuff. So instead of 250,000 people, you're really talking about, I'm just making some numbers up because I don't know the exact number. Let's say there's only 25,000 people. So we're talking about those 25,000 people. So then we're going to shrink it even further. We're only talking about 25,000 people, or of those 25,000 in the whole DMA, the people who live in those geozones. Okay. So it's a very solid campaign. It gives you about a 20% share of voice, which is how we measure these things. Like, so to total universe, you have about a 25% share of voice of people in the market for home improvement in those geozones. And that's a very good, strong campaign.
So you're saying that if I'm understanding you correctly, that in those areas of the people who would have this behavior, then my ads would be represented to 25% of them?
Or they would not 25% of the people, but of the total
of the impressions.
Of the impressions. So at 300,000, let's say there's only 1.2 million total available impressions in those zones to people in the market for home improvement. You're getting 25% of those. Okay. So that means, that's a very strong share of voice.
Okay. That makes sense now.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions about that part before we go on?
I don't think so. You did, yeah. I think the big question I had was about how many people we're looking at. I think you got that for me, so. Oh, but no, I do have a question.
Okay.
What is a 728 by 90 or 30 by 250? What are those?
Those are the standard ad units like on our website. So if you go to ajc.com, a 728 by 90 is also called a leaderboard ad. It's the ad that's a long rectangle that comes up at the top of the page.
Okay.
And then the 300 by 250 is we call it a big box ad. It's a square ad unit that's also at the top of the page, top right.
That's like that one, that square one that Kroger runs all the time on the front page.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this one is
a rectangle.
Rectangle. And this one is the big square. Just so I can remember.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so the next element of the campaign was the AJC Home Finder.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with this product? Do you get the Sunday paper?
Yeah, this is more about new homes, right?
It new homes and old homes. Every Sunday we do we feature a remodeling project. How people have renovated their home from typically an older home and made it new. So there are.
Is there a way I can sponsor that?
That's a great question. I should have looked into that. I can. I'll make a note to look into how one of your homes gets featured in one of the renovations, because that's an editorial thing. We typically separate those editorial from advertising, and I don't know how they decide whose homes they're going to feature.
Okay.
So
well, even if it's just some kind of sponsorship or something that that it's brought to you by Mike's Home and Painting or better yet, get my if we can't do that, then at least maybe we could get the ad near it. Near that, can you guarantee that?
Well, the ad unit that I was thinking of is this ad right here, the front page strip, because it is seen more often than any of the other ads. I mean, it's a premium placement. It's right there on the front of the section. So we get 1.4 million readers every Sunday, so it's going to get seen more often if it's right there.
How much does that cost?
Well, I've got you going because we're layering this in with a direct mail campaign. So with a 12-time commitment, which I have that in this 5.5-month proposal, it's $931 per ad. So,
That's not bad.
yeah, for 1.1 million people. So on the months that we are doing direct mail, I have this ad going twice. The months that we're not doing a direct mail campaign, I have you in there every Sunday, or 4 Sundays, because July has 5 Sundays. But
okay, interesting.
So.
I always just naturally thought of the home finder section for new homes. I know that new homes to some people are old homes.
Correct.
So,
yeah. I mean, and it could be that people are going in there and looking for homes, but they're also looking at renovation projects, and somebody could be buying an old home that needs to be fixed up. So there's a lot of different reasons that people read that section. I mean, my husband reads it every single Sunday because he likes seeing the, how people have remodeled something.
Kind of like me with the home improvement shows.
Yeah. He watches those too. If you watch that, then you probably pick this up because you like to, you're looking for ideas. So, and for those people ready to start a home improvement project, there you are. So.
Okay. What else have you got for me?
Then, while we're still on the print component, we are launching a new magazine in September. It is going to our Sunday. Here is a prototype of our new magazine. It's called In Town Living, as you can see from the title.
Very nice. A newspaper is doing this.
Yes, we are. We did a lot of research of both our subscribers and our advertisers, and basically what we learned was that people felt that there was a need for somebody to cover all, Atlanta has a lot of different and unique eclectic neighborhoods like Candler Park, the Old Fourth Ward, Inman Park, Brookhaven. They all have their own little unique personality, and what we were told time and time again was people want to have a product that tells them what's unique about that neighborhood, what to do, where to go eat, what festivals are. So that's the niche that this magazine is going to fill. The great thing about it is that there's being delivered to 35,000 of our Sunday subscribers in these neighborhoods that I'm talking about, and all of them happen to be great targets for who, it's a lot of the areas that you said you wanted to reach.
Okay, so your business in Smyrna, in Vinings, Sandy Springs. Haven't really done a lot in the West Paces, Mount Perrin area, but that would be a good area for us to do. North Buckhead, we've been there. Haven't done much in Brookhaven or Chamblee, but those are two. Wow. Decatur, we've done Decatur. Yeah, these are actually, what were you recommending here?
So I was recommending a third page ad. So it's going to come out, it's a bi-monthly publication. So the first one comes out in September. The next one comes out at the beginning of November, which I know you said mid-November is when you stop advertising for the season anyway. So the timing of those both was great. So, so 1/3 of a page ad unit during those 2 months.
What's trying to see? So a third of the page is like this one? Is that size?
Well, that would be about an eighth. So a third of the page is more like from there.
That part?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I want this one. I want an ad like this.
Okay. Well, we can certainly.
I want this size.
That size is that'd be a half-page vertical.
Okay.
So it's a little more expensive than what I have in this proposal, but we can certainly make that change. I mean, this ad is $974. That one's $1,500 with 3 times.
If I commit to that today, can I get a set page?
All of our premium positions are already sold out, so yeah. Like I said, it's been very.
Can I be put if I go ahead and commit
received.
today? Could I get put like on the waiting list so if somebody drops off, I could?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I want this 6 times.
Okay. Excellent. 6 times. Great. All right.
Which means I'm still. I need to think a little bit about the home finder. I mean, I get what you're talking about. But I need to think about that just a little bit. Let me see what else you've got. But I definitely, this is a yes.
Okay.
This is a yes.
All right.
Okay.
Great.
So what else you got for me?
Well, it sounds like I haven't maybe answered all of your questions for this.
I may have a few more questions, but before I ask those, I'd like to see what else you have.
Okay.
Because that may answer some of my questions.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yep. All right. So the next part of the campaign it's all direct mail. So we identified 15,000 homeowners in Buckhead, Candler Park, Morningside, and Marietta, which those were some of the neighborhoods that you mentioned when we met, who have been in their home less than 3 years. Because if you remember the research that I showed you last time, we talked about people who've been in their home less than 3 years are those that are most likely to be doing home improvement projects and renovations, whose home value is greater than $400,000, whose household income is greater than $150,000. So,
do you know what the age of the homes is on here? Because there's a lot of people that have been in their house for only 3 years that are in newer homes, and we usually find that it's homes that are 10 years old and older.
All right. Well, we can add that to it as well. I mean, it's just a matter of tweaking.
I don't know if I would add. Maybe we would replace it with this one because I'm a little worried, and I agree with you that it's about after 3 years that people get to that point where they're like, okay, I've had it. I've got to make some changes. But really, the 10-year age of the house is more important to us than that, and I'm afraid that might get us too broad.
Okay.
If we were to do that. So this is a list that you're getting. I don't have to get this list. You've already got it.
Well, we haven't purchased the list for you yet, but I mean that's one of those things that we do when it's time to do the direct mail piece.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay. And the price of the list is included in this price?
Yes. That price includes the list, the design, printing, the mail preparation, and estimated postage.
So see, this is one of the things. So like,
and here's a sample of the type of piece that we're talking about.
Right. So this is one of the reasons why I wanted you to go on, because this is now helping me solidify one of the things that's bothering me about the home finder.
Okay.
This goes to everybody who gets the paper, right?
It does.
Okay. So some of the things that I like about what you're saying, and what we're trying to do is. This is very targeted. Your digital, you've got that's very targeted. This in-town living, that's very targeted. This postcard, it's very targeted. This, although it's targeted to home, it's too broad of a reach for me.
Well, how this works. I mean, and you're right, it is a broader reach, but we figured you still needed a broad reach thing because somebody that may not be in one of those cities that we're mailing that postcard to, or let's say they live in Roswell, then they're not going to be getting this piece.
Right.
We don't want to exclude them, and at the price that you're paying for this particular ad unit, I mean, it doesn't make. I mean, it's an excellent price, still a targeted medium. Our subscribers tend to follow. Where was that other sheet? They tend to be above the norm in their zip codes for home value, household income, and things like that. Some of that is displayed here. This specifically for those in-town neighborhoods, but outside of these particular zip codes, you'd see a lot of the same story, where the market, in this case, is 71,000, the market median income, and the AJC subscribers are at 90, about 100,000 in household income. So, and that's kind of the story throughout all of our. It's a very
and I get that, and that makes sense, but. I've got some very specific goals that I've got to accomplish, and I'm not really sure that I'm at a point that I want to try to accomplish those with like broad shotgun.
Gotcha.
If there's some way that I could reach some of these zip codes when we're not doing the magazine, because this is like every other month,
it just wouldn't
right?
be as cost effective. I promise you, for the price, man. You already said you were doing a Marietta Daily Journal ad, and that's not very, other than geography. I don't know that that's targeted at all. So
that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you, because I knew that it wasn't going to get us to where we wanted to go this year. So.
I mean, to answer your question, yeah, we can absolutely just keep targeting by zip code, whether it's by postcards, whether it's through inserts in the paper to that. But I think that what you're going to find when you do that is that your cost is going to, I don't know that you're going to see the return on the investment for the additional money that you're going to spend on that.
Okay, so before I make that decision, could you get me some cost on what it would be if we did one of those inserts that you were talking about?
Yeah. Okay. They went like an 8.5 by 11 insert into this.
Yeah.
I mean, I could, just to give you a ballpark, if we were going to do, let's say, 100,000 of them, that in of itself is about $5,000. It's like $50 a thousand, $55 a thousand. So that's $5,000 to reach 100,000 people, and this is $1,000 to reach 1.1 million people. So.
Yeah. I see where you're saying. I need to think about that. But yeah, if you could actually work something up for me on the insert price, I'd like to see that too.
Will do. I was just trying to give you a ballpark right now, so you
I
understand.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
So all right, what else?
So which zip codes?
Well, I don't necessarily know that I want to hit all of them all of the time. So, but like the Smyrna Vine. I tell you what. Why don't you let me look this up? Can I keep this?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me look this over, and I'll email you the ones
that
I think, because I want to go back and compare it to some of our data of the zip codes, because it's like I think I know where some of these zip codes fall, but I'm not 100% positive.
Okay.
So I want to check that. But
Gotcha.
I'll email you that.
Okay. All right. Then for the commercial mailing, I think I already told you a little bit. So I have us at approximately 5,000 pieces each month. And the reason I have an approximate number there is because we don't know until we pull the list each month how many people will have filed for new retail business permits. So, but we know it's going to be the same commercial real estate brokers and strip center landlords in those geographies. And we want to hit them multiple times because that's how advertising works. Reach plus frequency is what makes it work. So the plan is to hit them monthly, and then each month just add that new list. But I'm not imagining that the number of new residential permits is going to be, or new business permits is going to vary all that much. So it should be right around 5,000, give or take. And what we were thinking about mailing to them was this trifold brochure, because you can highlight each of the different aspects of that commercial.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. Actually wouldn't be a bad piece to have at our shows either.
We do commercial printing, so we could print overruns. That would actually help get the cost down.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. All right, that's a possibility. What else, have you got anything else? Was this your?
Well, here's just the total investment by month, because I mean, while I listed the price each time,
Right.
this spells it out by month. So, and then I broke, the residential from the, so on the months that we're doing direct mail, you're at about $8,400.
Mhm.
The months we're not, it's about $7,700.
Okay.